Hey everybody, I'm William Green. These are my green pets, and today is August 19th, 2017. Let's have a look around the shade house and see what progress has been made since last week. Even though this is just a plain white phalaenopsis, I really like the way that the flowers come out. The presentation of the flowers are really nice. They cascade down in a lovely fashion. These buds on my yellow speckled phal are going to be opening up soon. And this plant actually comes from Steve. You remember my plant sitter? He gave this to me for Christmas a couple years ago. This pink phal was a rescue that a lady brought over. She knew that I might be able to do something with it, so it's been rescued. It's doing well, and I really like the color of the flowers too. The coconut orchid, Max 10, is just about done. The flowers are starting to fade. They were a brilliant red for a couple weeks, but now they're kind of going into more of an orange. And of course, when they fade completely, they're just black. Now it'll be focusing on putting new growths on for next year, I guess. If we look over under the Rose of Sharon tree, we can see Vanda Delight sticking out the bottom there. You can see that down here under this little tree, or bush I guess, it doesn't get quite as much light as it did last summer and the summer before, but it's still blooming and it seems to be doing alright. Got a couple of other Vandas under here, but they haven't bloomed. This one was a grocery store discount Vanda. Believe it or not, our local Kroger's grocery store chain carries Vandas in bloom from time to time. And when they go out of bloom, they sell them for really cheap. I think this was $10. Got this little guy as a bag baby from Home Depot in Fort Myers, Florida about 2 or 3 years ago. Look at this beautiful little thing. Vanda falcata is in bloom with 3 beautiful little flowers, and if the beautiful white flowers aren't enough, the fragrance is so nice. It starts in late afternoon, just after sunset is when it really starts to pick up, and last night I came out here around midnight, and the fragrance was strong. It was powerful, and it's like a jasmine. It almost reminds me like if you buy a jasmine scented candle, and it's like that. I love it. It smells great. I also like the little tinge of red that you see there on the flowers. I don't remember them having that last year. Bulbophyllum rufinum is finally all bloomed out. It's one solitary spike. And you know, bulbos are famous for their fragrances. Some of them have really nice ones, and some of them have really terrible ones. And last year when this bloomed, I had it downstairs in the grow room, so the light did not release the fragrance. It didn't smell the same way that it smells out here. And I have to say, I think it's a really nice fragrance. It's very fruity, like strong, like maybe just slightly overripe fruit. But it smells really nice. I like it. I can imagine that with a big plant and multiple spikes, this thing would really smell good. Now, from what I've read about this particular species is that it has to deal with drought in its home environment, and so it looks to have adapted pseudobulbs that are especially fat to store extra water for those periods of drought. So in the winter, I try not to water this one too much. Okay, let's have a look at this Bulbophyllum. This is echinolabium. I'm sure you can pronounce it a lot of different ways, but it's my largest Bulbophyllum. It's got 3 spikes, and we've been watching the flower develop slowly over the past couple weeks. It looks like it's actually kind of coming out upside down. I'm guessing it's going to right itself and flip over the other way. when it starts to open, but it's still got a long way to stretch. From this angle we can get kind of a preview of the veining and coloration that we'll see when the flower's fully developed. Moving over from this guy, we have Medusae, Bulbophyllum Medusae, and this is my largest bulbo. And I got this just as a division 3 years ago. It had 11 leaves on it at that point, and now it's got a lot more. And it's still growing. It put out a flush of new leaves in the spring, and now it's actually got a new flush of leaves coming out. And this will bloom later in the year. This blooms around beginning of December for me. It has the past couple years anyway. Over here on the slipper table, most of them are doing well. One of them's battling rot. I don't know if it will win that battle, but everybody else seems to be okay. I bought a new plant to put in my yard last week. These are so cool. This is a Witch-hazel. And Witch-hazels, there are American varieties, there are Chinese varieties, there's a Japanese variety, I think. And the cool thing about Witch-hazels that I love is that they bloom in winter. These bloom in very, very, very late autumn, November, December. And then the Asian varieties bloom in very, very, very early spring, like February. So that alone is really cool. And they're also really fragrant. And their names they're called Witch-hazel. That's just cool. This is a hybrid Witch-hazel, and you can see the little flower buds developing. And like I said, this is an Asian hybrid, so it's not going to bloom until February or so, but I'm really looking forward to it. This is the first year I've had this. Still waiting on this pineapple to ripen. Well guys, that's it for this week. I'm William Green, and we will see you next time right here on My Green Pets. Have a great week.